Welcome to Unleashed. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. Here are the guys.
Welcome to Unleashed. This is the Rebel Scum podcast channel. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. I don't say that enough, but this guy right here reminds me all the time. He has like cool little graphics that come in and go tick tick, and he goes karate chopping and some stuff. And I'm not as playful as him because my Disney checks have been bouncing. I got Josh. No. Josh from the Den of Nerds is here. Josh, thanks for coming.
What is up? What's up, Rebel Scum family? It's good to be back on this channel. And I love talking Star Wars with James, so I'm always happy to do that.
Yeah, always happy, except for the last few months when you said nope.
I was like, no, that's not true. I think our schedules just couldn't line up.
It's hard to line up our schedules. We do make it bad. First of all, Rise of Skywalker, you enjoyed it.
I really like it. Yeah, I really, really like it. In fact, I'm salty that I've been so busy. I haven't been able to go see it for the 5th and 6th time because I really would have liked to see it that many times in theaters. In fact, I think the third, just real quick, one thing on Rise of Skywalker, I think the thing I like about it most is the third act, the color palette of that is like, I want more of that in Star Wars. It felt so much like Dark Empire with like those cool blues and those greens and like just, I loved it, man. I was like, this is awesome. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the film. I acknowledge that a lot of people have problems with it. Totally fine. But I really liked it.
Yeah. And we don't have to justify liking anything.
Yeah, we don't.
We said that we were talking earlier. We don't have to justify liking a Marvel movie. Why do I have to justify liking a Star Wars movie? Different material, but let's get into the greatest material of them all. One of the best things Disney's put out, I think, in terms of Star Wars is Rebels. I think at first people had a hard time getting into Rebels, and then once it found its footing, it sucked us all in, and it was great storytelling.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni and company knocked it out of the park as usual. As everyone's learning now. You know, you put people that love Star Wars in front of Star Wars, in charge of Star Wars, and you get Star Wars.
Some good Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah. So you were telling me earlier that there's some Rebels rumors. We know exactly how the season of Rebels is going to play out. There's no new season. The rumor is winter, though. In winter, we're getting season 5, I guess it would be. Or is it a spin-off for season 5?
I think it's a spin-off. Okay. Yeah, I think so. It's a sequel series is what a lot of the rumors are out there. And to be honest with you, it's one of those weird things where I can't get a lot of it about it confirmed. And I'm sort of confused, frankly, as to when it would have even happened. Mm-hmm. Because like in my mind, like, when I think of Filoni's schedule, right, I'm like, okay, so he leaves Resistance as a big time active person. Like he helped develop that show, but he walks away from it seemingly to go work on Mando and do that kind of stuff, right? And it's like, when would he have had time to develop and produce this show, right? I'm a little bit skeptical about it. However, you're absolutely right that Rebels is one of the best things Disney has given us as far as Star Wars. I love the Clone Wars, but Rebels is a tight package, man. I tell people all the time, they ask me like, start Clone Wars or Rebels? I get that question a lot. And I always say, look, Clone Wars has a ton of great stuff that I think you do need to watch. But if you're looking for just a show, a great, tight Star Wars show, Rebels is it. And Rebels is one of my favorite things in Star Wars. I love the characters. I love the crew. It almost feels like Firefly, but like in the Star Wars universe, and just done brilliantly. But yeah, the official rumor is that they will be doing a sequel of that show, which will primarily involve the characters of Ezra, the characters of Thrawn, the characters of Sabine, and the character of Ahsoka Tano. So that's what the rumor is.
Which, after Rebels, would make complete sense to follow those characters, because those are the ones that everybody else kind of wraps up, right? Like Hera is like Hera and Jason, and she fights at the Battle of Endor and all that stuff. So we kind of get her ending. But Sabine and Ahsoka leave to go find Ezra, who went off with the Purgles with Thrawn.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if you remember at the finale, I believe it was the finale screening and Q&A of Rebels, Donald Faison, who voiced Faison something in Resistance, was there, and he put his hand up and he goes, Dave, is your next show going to be Sabine and Ahsoka? And Filoni's like, oh, you'd like that? You'd like that, Donald? You'd like that? So it feels like...
Yes, Dave, we would like that.
Everyone's like, yeah, of course. Yeah. So I feel like that's always been I mean, obviously that's something they could always go to, but I think when they throw in Ahsoka into a movie like The Rise of Skywalker, I think they're acknowledging the love that this character has from the Star Wars community. And your point to Filoni's still the head of, I believe, animation at Lucasfilm. Like, he's the overseeing all the animated projects. So what could have happened is he could go into his meetings, be like, blah, 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 Resistance, blah, blah, let's get started on this show about this. And the plot's basically set up for them. It's Ahsoka and Sabine going to go find Thrawn and Ezra, mostly Ezra, in the unknown regions. And you've brought up another point that you've heard, can't confirm it, but you've heard another rumor. Do you want to share that one here?
Yeah. So I think, a lot of the rumors around the show, there's been several people on Reddit supposedly leaking plots. Now, these are not people that have track records. It's not like Jedi Paxis, the guy that spilled all the beans on episode 9, came out and said, yeah, this is what's happening with Rebels. So it's take it with a grain of salt. However, a lot of this stuff all seems semi-similar, which to me always means, okay, so there's likely some smoke, there is some fire, and people are probably all hearing the same things. And the big rumor is that this will involve the alien race known as the Grisk. And if you're not a person that reads a lot of the ancillary material, you might not know what the Grisk is. The Grisk are these aliens out in the unknown regions that are a major threat to the Chiss and the higher ascendancy of the Chiss. They also represent a big threat to the Empire as well. There have been some moments where, like, Vader and Thrawn are working together in the treason novel, I believe the second and plot of that book is he really just doing it for the Chiss? And so what a lot of these plot leaks are presenting is this idea that Thrawn and Ezra are out battling the Grisk. And actually, one of the most recent plot leaks, which I find so cool, but I'm very skeptical of, is this idea that the Grisk themselves are actually being pushed by another larger force, which will end up being the Yuuzhan Vong. And the Yuuzhan Vong were this big thing in Legends, and they were this crazy alien race that had like force immunity in some ways, and they're a massive threat. They come in and threaten the entire galaxy to the point where some dark Jedi and Jedi have to team up against them. They're a big time threat, very MCU-like thing. And so that's just some of the plot threads that are going around, is that it's this idea that Thrawn and Ezra are fighting these things. And the most recent one, James, this got me really hyped. They said that Ezra has been warring with Thrawn, and it's sort of changed him. So when Sabine and Ahsoka find him again, he's like sort of a changed man, because he's been like literally at war with the Grisk for years and years and years. You know what I mean?
Well, how changed? Like he's like grizzled?
Probably a little darker, a little more cold, less on the light side, I guess you could say. Like the way I was imagining it is a little bit more like Luke in Return, right? Where he's all black, right? He's all black, a little bit more apt to take swift action and to use his power in, semi-shady ways or whatever. Because, obviously Luke does the ultimate good deed and redeeming, amazing Gandhi-like thing at the end of Jedi. But at the same time, he walks into Jabba's palace and kills those Gamorreans. You know what I mean? He's not afraid to use. He literally tells Jabba, like, dude, don't make me use my power. You know what I mean? So I would say the way I'm envisioning it is he would be a little bit more like that character, because he's so optimistic when we know him in Rebels, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's so optimistic. Even after the Kanan thing, he finds this connection to the Loth Wolf. He's able to go into the world between worlds, open up the temple by himself. Ezra's a really strong Jedi and very much on the light side, but it would be so interesting to see him turn a little bit after spending years out there at war, dude. War changes people,
Absolutely, and that would be cool to see. And also, the one thing with, and we talked about Rise of Skywalker at the beginning for a reason. We talked about Ahsoka and Kanan, but no Ezra. There's no Ezra in the Rise of Skywalker. The one voice that's glaringly missing is Ezra Bridger's voice, and you can't tell me that wasn't done on purpose, that it was an oversight, that they just forgot Ezra. You can't remember Kanan and forget Ezra. And that's because Ezra's ending was, I mean, Ahsoka, sure, but Ahsoka is something else, I think, at this point as well.
Yes.
Ezra,
well, Dave had that. Dave had that post, right,
yes,
where he had that little post where he did the sketch of Gandalf the White, and essentially making this thing where, like, basically, Ahsoka could have at one time been dead and literally come back to life, not like as a Force ghost, but like literally come back to life. There could be something really crazy going on with that. But yeah, I agree with you. The lack of Ezra has to mean something.
Yeah, and this is a opportunity for them to play out why there's no Ezra. It also, I mean, it perfectly got him out of the galaxy, or out of the known regions, when Yoda says, or when Obi-Wan says that boy's our last hope. It clearly defines that. So where is Ezra? What is the purpose of Ezra as well? I think that's an important question to be asked, because he is the second, he's the last, he's the only Jedi in the unknown regions as far as we know. So what purpose does he hold in this entire story, especially considering, now this might be, I don't know, I might be off base here, but with Kanan in Rise of Skywalker, Rebels is now a small part of the Skywalker saga.
Mm-hmm.
So how does
I mean, I would argue, depends on how you look at it. I would argue that Rebels is a significant part of the Skywalker saga, for no other reason than the end of season 2. The end of season 2, which we're going to have paid off in the 7th season of Clone Wars 2, it'll make even that emotional scene. But the battle of Ahsoka and Vader, when she realizes that it's Anakin, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they have that fight, and the meaning behind that, especially considering that the Force, because, look, is it technically Ezra that pulls her out of that moment? Yes, but it's really the cosmic force. It's the cosmic force at work pulling her out of that moment. You know what I mean? And the fact that we see her in the white robes, there is something very significant about Ahsoka, and her relationship to Vader, I think, is a huge part of the Skywalker saga, personally. I know it's not well established in the films, but like if you read Lords of the Sith, Ahsoka is a big part of Vader's thought process. You know what I mean? Ahsoka is a big part of his thoughts, for sure. So yeah, I would say that that's a big part of the Skywalker saga.
So it's part of it. So Ezra so what is the purpose of Ezra is a really important question for everything.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And Ezra, if this series does come back, the spin-off show comes back and Ezra is in it, then he is very important, and his destination is very important as well. And I cannot wait to hear that. However, there's another destination drop in here as well. Another character that might be a little bit more explained in this one, by the name of Shivi P. Shivi P might be making an appearance, but you're not totally you like this, but you're not on board with this at this point. Is that how it is?
Yeah.
Go into details also.
Right. Well, first of all, in the post itself, and it's really confusing, and I actually read it at like 7 a.m. as I rolled like out of bed, and I was like just, checking Reddit and stuff. And I remember like looking over that post, and I believe the poster says that he survives the Battle of Yavin, but he must mean the Battle of Endor. He's got to mean the Battle of Endor, because Yavin is like, we go past the Battle of Yavin, right? Like at the epilogue of Rebels, it's the Battle of Endor that she's fighting with. It's not the Battle of Yavin, right? Yeah. And so I think what the poster on Reddit meant to say was that Palpatine will be revealed to be alive post Battle of Endor. Now, look, obviously that happened. So Rise of Skywalker is canon, despite some people not liking that fact. Palpatine was back, right? He was obviously able to manifest and create a massive fleet, right? Now, when he said conjured, like a lot of people, like that's one of the things that bugs me about people is they think that line in the movie meant that he wizarded up a thing.
That's crossed my mind.
The guy was being hyperbolic. You know what I mean? Like the dude they were talking about how sorcerers are conjuring, and the dude's like, well, they conjured up a freaking fleet, homie. Like, I think he was being flavorful. He wasn't like literally saying they conjured it up. But more to the point, there was obviously stuff going on in the unknown regions that was a part of Palpatine's plan. It is very possible that Palpatine did have contact with Thrawn. Now, also, something that's really interesting, and again, the post, I'm so skeptical about it because it makes me so damn happy. Literally, so much of it makes me so happy that I'm like, it can't be. But there's this idea that the hand of the emperor, or the emperor's hand, that they're making sort of a new empire, that in the wake of the empire collapsing in the known galaxy, and the fact that the contingency plan involved the First Order, and it involved building up things and coming in kind of sneaky and then, revealing himself. Thrawn had a completely different mandate from the Emperor. And Thrawn was out there building up his forces, seemingly building up another faction, like not the First Order, not the Empire, the Emperor's Hand faction or whatever, right? Yeah. And that this could be really reminiscent of what Thrawn was doing in the Heir to the Empire series, because Thrawn ascends and takes over the entire empire, right? And so it would be fascinating to see something like that going on. And honestly, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind getting a little bit more of who else, right? Like, who else would the Emperor trust to know that he's alive than Thrawn? If you read the books, if you're really into it, I could totally see how Thrawn is literally one of the last remaining people that the Emperor would actually trust. You know what I mean? Tarkin's gone, Vader's gone. The other one is Thrawn within that circle, right?
Yeah, and look, say what you want about Dave Filoni, but if anybody's going to be able to pull any of that off, I would. Yeah. I mean, based on Rebels, Clone Wars, the Mandalorian, what he's able to just weave in and out of Star Wars fairly seamlessly is impressive. Yeah. And
he's one of those special guys, man. Yeah, he's one of those special guys that, like, I talk about this a lot. There's a difference between, like, the example I always give is Jeff Johns, okay? Jeff Johns clearly understands DC Comics. He clearly gets it. He's written some of the most fantastic DC comic books of all time. He really gets the universe. But if you look at what he's done as a producer in film, he lacks the ability to take that knowledge that he has and portray it in a way that's accurate to the things that he knows, right? So it's one thing to know it. It's another thing to know, how do I make that happen, right? People like Kevin Feige and people like Dave Filoni, they're those special breed of people that not only know it, but they know how to convey it properly, right? So Dave, on the one hand, you could sit back and say, oh man, he just knows it. He's just such a fan. He loves Star Wars. He loved the expanded universe. He loved Thrawn, dude. You know what I mean? Like, he loves these characters and he knows them. But on top of that, he's such a student of the craft, and obviously studying right under George and being able to make that not going to hurt, right? But he's obviously able, and he has the skill set to not just know it, but know how to properly put it out in the final product. So yeah, man, you're absolutely right. He is the guy for the job. If they're going to do this, he's the dude to do it. And I would be so happy if these rumors end up being true.
Absolutely. And one thing people have to remember about Kevin Feige as well is he was no overnight success. He worked a lot. He made a lot of movies, a lot of bad movies. He was on there and he learned the craft. And I would even argue when he got to Iron Man, Iron Man's fantastic and everything.
Yeah.
But the whole MCU wasn't exactly at the forefront of his mind when he made Iron Man. He was like, let's just make this movie first. And then it was like, okay, maybe we can try this now. And it all kind of snowballed from there. All right, Josh. Well, first, before everybody, let us know in the comments below. That's how we do things here, Josh. We have comment sections. What do you guys think of the sequel series to Rebels? First of all, are we getting it in this winter 2020? Is there going to be any of the stuff Josh talked about? Or will it be something completely different, which is going to focus on Hera and Jason Syndulla traveling around the galaxy on vacation?
Yeah, with their like trendy diets. Like, they're doing new trendy diets in the galaxy. Like, they're only eating like green sludge from this one planet or something. Like a sort of Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop meets like a travel channel kind of show. That would be fantastic. Yeah.
I would watch it. Josh, you have a very small channel here on YouTube. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
The small channel is, because I know you're joking, but the small channel is actually the Den of Nerds Live, which is still big. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, Den of Nerds Live, where we do a live show every morning. I do a morning stream at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, treating it kind of like a morning radio show, where just talking about nerdy things, man, getting really involved with the community. So that's the biggest thing. If people are interested, I think that it's going to be really fun in 2020, all the stuff we do over on the Den of Nerds Live. And then, of course, the Den of Nerds, where we talk about, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, all those sort of things. So,
Awesome. So go check him out. Give him a subscribe if you want. I don't care. He needs the subscriptions. You should subscribe here as well. James,
Yes.
Josh, thanks for watching. And until next time, may the force of others be with you.
8 out of 10 times.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.